Good day, students. So we will discuss Module 3 in our core values and principles of community engagement. So at the end of our lesson, you will be able to explain the core values of community action initiatives, promote awareness of human rights in communities among learners, appraise the value of social equity and gender equality in the context of participatory development, analyze the strategies of empowerment and advocacy through community action, and develop commitment and conviction to participatory development for community well-being. So in 2009, floods brought by Typhoon Ondoy ravaged the town of Taytay, Rizal. It took days before waist-high floods waters receded due to clogged waterways, which included the Maningning Creek. The creek was once a clean waterway where children can swim and families hold picnics and catch fish. Over the years, with the influx of new residents to Taytay, garbage started to pile up in Maningning Creek, and the once pristine river slowly deteriorated. So in addition to this, during the Typhoon Ondoy, it was not just the rains that caused the severe flooding, as solid waste was equally to blame about. So many waterways and drains are clogged with solid waste, which does not allow water to freely flow to outlets and pumping stations. In this, Ondoy became a turning point in the Philippine government's attention to flood management in flood-prone areas in the Philippines, most especially in Taytay, Rizal. Running almost 3 kilometers long, the Maningning Creek has been a source of livelihood and a venue for other recreational activities way back 30 years ago. Children from different areas around the municipality have to join their mothers to do their laundry while they enjoy the waters. Carps, madfish, tilapias, and other freshwater fishes swam freely in some of the areas in the said river. Located at the heart of Barangay Santa Ana in Taytay, Rizal, province of Rizal, the Maningning Creek runs along 4 major streets in the barangay and the municipality's main road connecting it to the Taytay River. It was considered as the main waterway in the barangay, reducing flood and danger among the residents. So in this module, we will learn a community movement or a community participatory movement that mobilized hundreds of people to give life and hope to the creek that a lot of people considered unpromising. Human rights. Each person, even before birth, is bestowed with entitlements. The baby being carried by a mother has a right to live. At birth, nationality attached to the child, and so are various privileges, such as entitlements to property or social services. As the child grows up, the ambit of privileges expand, with childcare, education, and health coming into play. Upon reaching the age of majority, entitlements further expand to include political rights such as suffrage. The Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights defines human rights as the rights inherent to all human beings, whatever our nationality, place of residence, sex, national or ethnic origin, color, religion, language, or any other status. Human rights are basic individual entitlements. They are universally protected and enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which was ratified on December 10, 1948. So, in addition to this, the United Nations pinpoint the origin of human rights to the year 539 BCE, when the troops of Cyrus the Great conquered Babylon. So Cyrus freed the slaves, declared that all people had the right to choose their own religion, and established racial equality. Human rights begin in 10 of December year 1948. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which was adopted by United Nations General Assembly on the December 1948, was the result of the experience of the Second World War. Human rights started from early childhood care until the child requires education. That's more than preparation for everything related to education, because it aims at holistic development of a child's social and emotional, cognitive, and physical needs in order to build a solid and broad foundation for lifelong learning and lifelong living and survival. The human rights included in the United Nations Declaration are the following. So we have the first one, the natural rights. Natural rights includes life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So this means that natural rights are rights that believe it is important for all humans and animals to have, or what we call this, the natural law. These rights are often viewed as inalienable, meaning they can almost never be taken away. The concept of what are natural rights has varied throughout history. The concept of natural rights is very important because it provides the basis for freedom and liberty. Next, we have the civil rights. So civil rights includes the following: the privacy, property, religion, expression, contract, and movement. So in addition to this, civil rights are an essential component of democracy. They are guarantees of equal social opportunities and protection under the law, regardless of race, religion, or other characteristics. So for example are the rights to vote, the rights to a fair trial, to government services, and the rights to a public education. Next, we have the political rights. Includes the assembly, petition, suffrage, direct and indirect participation, self-determination, self-government, election to public office. So this explains that political rights are a class of rights that protect individuals' freedom from infringement by government, social organization, and private individuals, and which ensure one's ability to participate in the civil and political life of the society and state without discrimination or repression. Next, we have the social and economic rights, or the what we call this the social economic rights. These are livelihood, equal opportunities, education, leisure and creation, the freedom to choose one's occupation, to pick it, to strive for better working conditions, and various benefits to improve the quality of life. So, in addition to this, the social and economic rights provides protection for the dignity, freedom, and well-being of every individuals by guaranteeing state-supported entitlements to education, public health care, housing, a living wage, decent work conditions, and other social goods. The concept of human rights. The concept of human rights as individual entitlements entails an obligation on the part of the state. States assumes obligation and duties under international law to respect and fulfill human rights. The obligation to respect means that states must refrain from interfering with curtailing the enjoyment of human rights. The obligation to protect requires states to safeguard individuals and groups against human rights abuses. The obligation to fulfill means that states must facilitate the enjoyment of basic human rights. So, in addition to this, while the obligation to protect human rights falls heavily on states, individuals also have rules in ensuring protection of human rights. In a community, each individual is expected to respect the rights of other individuals, and if needed, join together to assert or advocate for the rights of a defined group or a community. Concept of human rights. The right to a healthy and safe environment is not specifically enumerated in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. However, in recent years, since the declaration of the need to protect the environment in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil in 1992, and the overwhelming pledge of almost all countries to avert further environmental damage. Okay, so in addition to this concept is based in the right to a healthy and safe environment means that all humans being depend on the environment in which we live. A safe, a clean, a healthy, and a sustainable environment is integral to the full enjoyment of a wide range of human rights, including the rights to life, health, food, water, and sanitation. Without a healthy environment, we are unable to fulfill our aspirations. Nations have agreed that both present and future generations must be safeguarded and a healthy and safe environment must be ensured. So this means that there is an obligation to protect our air, land, water resources and allow for more equitable access to these resources for all humanity. Access to safe and clean water is one of the priorities. According to a recent study, at least 55 Filipinos died every day because of lack of clean water. The UN or the United Nations has recognized that access to food, clean water, and livable environment are human rights. For its part, that the Philippines has adopted the UN mandate as a matter of state policy. The rights to access food, clean water, and livable environment is connected to the most basic of all human rights. That is the right to live. However, there are almost 20 million Filipinos who do not have access to proper sewerage and sanitation facilities. So after the floods brought by Ondoy subsided, there was a significant spike in the number of cases of leptospirosis. Similarly, vector-borne diseases such as dengue are on the rise of communities where there are polluted and clogged waterways. The barangays around Maningning Creek were not spared as residents, mostly children, became ill due to the polluted water on the river. Thus, youth volunteers in the barangay around the creek initiated a concerted action to start cleaning up the water. The volunteers wanted to protect the health and to some extent the property of community members and improve the environmental quality of Maningning Creek. However, the task of ensuring the cleanliness of the river and of advocating for the rights of those who live along its banks was not easy. New challenges emerge, for most of which is the lack of enthusiasm or the lack of interest from those who are affected themselves, and personal interests of business upstream and households on the bank of the river.